So I got to thinking, let's talk a little bit about paganism and politics this evening. Um, if for no other reason, then we ought to, because it's important. Um, we hear about politics in all other aspects of the world, so might as well bring in the paganism as well, because you know what, there is a definite assumption that those who are pagans or witches are going to be, without a doubt, liberal. They're not going to be conservative. And that's really a misunderstanding, I think, in the world. Because it's, I don't know, I'm trying to find the words to put this without sounding like just a total jerk. Because it's really easy when we talk about politics to just come across as a pompous buffoon. Anybody who catches the news for the politics in the U.S., actually almost any country, you know that the politicians are notorious for being pompous buffoons. They're very, very good at it. And it's like their superpower, for crying out loud. So, hi all. And so, yeah, the assumption that all pagans are liberal, and all pagans are the same, or have the same exact beliefs, is really misunderstood, I think. Because there's a lot of us out there that are pagans or witches that are more conservative. That doesn't mean that we subscribe to a lot of the traditional conservative beliefs, like here in the U.S., Republicans versus Democrats. I mean, there is a lot of that, but like for me, I'm pretty conservative, honestly. I think our government, for instance, should leave our tax dollars alone. But also, I don't have a problem with gay marriage. Be against abortion, that means you need to be pro-child. So if you're going to do that, make sure people are, taking care of the kiddos after birth. Birth control is real. That's a big deal. And I think there's a lot of things that our politicians meddle in when it comes to our personal health that they really ought to leave alone, because they really don't have any business in that. I think Big Pharma is overburdened with tax dollars and needs to go away. So, and these are all my political opinions, right? So yeah, pretty conservative. But it doesn't mean I don't understand some of the liberal things that go along with, the assumption that pagans are liberal or witches are liberal, because they're not. And I'm kind of expecting someone to call in at some point, because I'm putting opinions out there, and we all have opinions when it comes to politics. And so I guess that assumption, and I know people have been doing it across the board for pretty much ever. And those of you just joining on YouTube, y'all aren't late. I was, because apparently I had an update. So isn't that just awesome? Yes, I wish the techno monsters would just leave things alone and stop doing that to me. So yeah, and there's, I think, at least here in the U.S., I can't speak to other countries. I think originally, our politicians shouldn't have been career politicians. They were supposed to be people coming from the real world, having their stint in government and then going back to the real world. And it's unfortunate that politics has become such a career thing, and so many politicians have lost touch with the people that they represent. And it's not just, because, a lot of them are very Christian, or anti-Christian, and pagans really aren't as represented in politics as I wish they were. Um, but yeah, it's just blooming frustrating that they don't seem to really represent people. And I think a lot of politicians get started because they want to make a difference in our world. They want to do the right thing for the people they represent, at least at the very beginning. And then they get sucked into the game of politics, because it is a game, and they forget the people that they're representing. And I know people in politics, and it's interesting watching them grow or change through their political career, because so many of them seem to lose sight of why they joined the political movement to begin with. And so here it is, just all of us lay people, if you will. We're left trying to exist in a world that's been heavily influenced by politics, both local, state, and federal. And man, is it a mess. And I wish Don was here. He'll be here at some point, because I think, yes, there's some secret society stuff involved in politics, and Don speaks and knows more about that than I do. And so, but what else is there? I mean, how else do we change the system without actually getting into the system? You know, and that's actually kind of a big question, is how do we reduce the impact of politics on our day-to-day lives? I mean, anybody who walks out of their house right now and goes to the grocery store to get groceries is encountering some sort of political activism. Here locally, we've seen the Black Lives protests, we've seen the Blue Lives Matter protests, we've seen anti-abortion, we've seen pro-abortion, we've seen pro-education, anti-education, not really anti-education, but anti-spending money on education. We've seen people supporting the rioters, people not supporting the rioters. And our whole county only has like 45,000 people in it total. But we all have these little microcosm type protesters and groups getting together. And it's very weird. I mean, there's a lot of entitled white people up here that seem to want to protest something, without really understanding what it is they're protesting. Yeah. The anti-abortionists with their horrible signs trying to, put images in our brains that we don't necessarily need, or try to explain to our kids. Because, for instance, my daughter is 6. There are some things that she just doesn't need to know about yet. And, it's just crazy. The futures market, when it comes to, economics, is insane. My family has been in the farming industry for a really long time. My baby sister is kind of going that direction now, in addition to teaching, but my dad's been a farmer all his life. And so, he's been watching the cost or the price for the hog market going up and down, and the futures market and stuff. And you know what? The cost to sell a pig. Where I'm at here in North Idaho, a feeder pig, which is about 40 pounds, sells for about $150 to $200. That's just a pig that you're still having to raise to butcher. If you want to butcher a pig, it's significantly more expensive, especially if you're getting to some of the more custom breeds. And if you're trying to raise your livestock organically, or the farm raised traditionally, where you take care of your animals, those are more expensive yet. So where my dad is over on the East Coast, that same $180 pig here is $10 where he's at. $10. A 280-pound pig going to market is about $45 to $80 roughly. Can you imagine that? So 240 pounds. You pay $80 for it. It's $35 for the take it to the butcher to get it killed, and then you pack and cut and wrap, which is another $249 roughly, $250, $350 a pound. And suddenly you spent like $500 and you've got a whole pig to put in your freezer, which is great. Here where I'm at, we're a lot closer to $1,000. And so it's not feasible to get really, quality meat affordably, because it's not affordable here, because there's so much stuff going on, and we get to use food products instead of food. And pharmacy, Carlton, I'm sure you can speak to this, and anybody who farms at all, we see a lot of food products in the store, not necessarily food, because produce and product are two different things. And it's, man, it is quite frustrating, a lot of it, the cost for livestock is been impacted by the stock market, by the futures market, by politics. Some farmers, especially the bigger corporation type farmers, can get subsidies and other bonuses for raising livestock, or in some cases, here this past summer, because the meat packing plants were closed down due to the coronavirus, and so livestock wasn't able to go to the meat packing facilities, and so they were just getting big and they weren't growing, and so farmers were putting things down, euthanizing animals instead of having them butchered. So it's food that could have been going to people that instead got buried in a shallow grave. And how's that helping us? Some of that, the coronavirus is real. People getting sick, that's real. And it's frustrating because there's a disconnect from the people who buy the stuff in the store, understanding where it comes from. So for instance, with meat, like here locally, again, just using the local market because that's what I'm familiar with, pork chops are generally about $2.99 to $3.99 a pound. That's $4 a pound. I can't buy live meat and have it take it to the butcher and have it cut and wrapped for myself to use for that price. Sometimes it goes on sale, which I'm kind of a cheap person. I cut coupons and I watch the sales and I track, pay attention to where the affordable groceries are at, and that's where I go to get my meat. And if it's not on sale, I don't buy it. But there's a lot of people out there. T-bone steak is like $30 a pound. Who can pay that? I don't know. You see it in the discount section for a little bit, and then suddenly it's gone. It's like, all right, great. So that went to the food bank, and poor people are getting T-bone steak. That's great. And instead, I'm eating bologna. Sad day. But it's become the way of it. We're so focused on just barely making ends meet and just barely getting by with the stuff we have, that we have forgotten how to eat real food. And I'm kind of all over the place tonight, and I'm sorry about that, but just kind of let my brain wander. Oh yeah, Bomber, who is this? Lucky says the beef farm is booked up till December and they can't take orders. Yeah, here locally, our favorite butcher, they're a wonderful family. They've been doing this for a couple generations now, and you can purchase, a meat package where you get pork and beef, or all pork or all beef, whatever, and it's about $3.99 a pound on average, and you buy 40 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever. If you want a blended pack, which is great, you get like 50 pounds of meat, pork and beef, and it's $220. Joke, but you can't pick it up. If I order it today, I would not be able to pick it up until almost Halloween or Halloween. And holy cow, If I'm investing money in groceries, it's because I want to eat today, not in 6 to 8 weeks, which is frustrating because how do we stock up and be prepared for the markets adjusting and such, and or crashing or burning, or the meat packing plants closing down, or what, or like in California right now there's all these fires, produce that may have been in the fields there not getting harvested because of the fires. I mean, cities are being evacuated. It's been a really huge impact on the California economy, these fires. So this produce is not getting to market. Lucky for a 50-pound package, combination of beef and pork, it's $212. Yeah, so Lucky just wanted to know. And if you want to eat, vegetarian or healthy foods, yeah, that's even harder, because you want to have good protein or vegetarian protein. You can buy canned stuff, which, there's some, canned beans or what have you there. That's okay. But if you want fresh vegetables or produce of any kind, holy buckets. That's expensive. So yeah, it's really, really, really expensive to eat real food right now, and that's in part because there are subsidies and whatnots going to the farmers, and or some of the farmers, the big corporation types of farmers, and it's they're getting paid to not produce food, basically, is what's happening. And that's politics. So politics is affecting, our food, the very food we eat. Plus, there's some things that are good for us and some things aren't. If you go to Europe, for instance, a lot of the additives we have in American food products, totally outlawed, totally illegal. And why? It's because they're bad for you folks. So basically, if you can't pronounce what you're reading on the label, you need to really consider yourself not purchasing it, not eating it, because it's not going to be good for you. Now, some things, of course, they take... I can't even think of something off the top of my head. You'd say garlic. Instead of saying, ooh, hey, there's garlic in here, they say spices, which is like, what's in there? Or it's... they use the scientific name for garlic. And it's like, what's that mean? So you just be aware. Yeah, if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. And some things, if you're educated enough that you can pronounce the Latin names for some of those chemicals, but you probably already know what it's about, don't eat it. Be aware of what you're eating and putting into your system, because, and I'm going somewhere, with not only with the politics in impacting, the pagan path and people assuming things about pagans all being pretty conservative or liberal, excuse me. Now politics are messing with our food, which is affecting our thought process. I mean, as I was talking about last night, the food we eat impacts our mental state and how we're feeling. And if you're feeling really down, and stop and think about, what did you eat today? Me, I had pizza from Second Avenue Pizza, Carolyn's Pizza. It's a fabulous pizza. It's about yay thick, and it's got garlic and onions and spinach and artichokes and Canadian bacon
all
and tomatoes.
Kinds of yummy things.
And with a hand-tossed crust, and it is fabulous. But I mean, it's a local company that makes their stuff from scratch. She makes her sauce from scratch, and yeah, she's great. Also, the only place in town right now delivering pizza, which...
They delivered this?
Yes.
All the way out here?
No, at work.
Oh, they delivered it at work. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, and if you think about it, the food we eat, as Pharmacy is saying in the chat room, food not only impacts the mental state, but also interacts with our RNA and our DNA. Yeah, because there's so many chemicals and things that are put um, into our food that, man, it's just not good for us. And because it's affecting our well-being. I mean, stop and think about the people you know that have kids with issues or disabilities and whatnots. Man, if I and look at what they're feeding the kids. I mean, for instance, in the autism community, a lot of kids have problems with textures and flavors and stuff. So suddenly you see a lot of kids eating chicken nuggets, tater tots, macaroni and cheese, gummy things.
Canned crap.
Processed canned stuff. So here it is, someone who's already got mental health issues. I mean, autism is a developmental delay, and because of the developmental delay, there's coping skills that are lacking, and often there's depression accompanying that. And so instead of helping cleanse you, instead you are adding more chemicals and stuff to your system, and holy cow, is that going to how's that going to make your kids feel any better? And then there's all these added preservatives and colors, and they've found that some of those artificial colors really impact ADD, or the hyperactivity of it's an allergy to the chemicals within those colors. It could be a stabilizing agent, or it could be just to make it pretty, because Americans, man, we gotta have pretty food. It can't be horrible looking. It's got to be pretty. Personally, I'd rather have it taste good and be good for me. I mean, the best pizza I've ever had looked horrible, but man, did it taste good. Well, pizza actually is a great example. Cold pizza doesn't always look very appetizing, but man, does it taste good.
Oh boy, it is so good.
Good pizza. So, on that note, as we're talking about food and kind of wandering around, oh yes, detergents. Carlton, I think I'm channeling you today. So we're off to break, our first break already. So we will be right back, and I'm going to continue kind of, instead of a 30-second video, it's a 2 hours. So see you in a bit.
Forget to unmute your mic again?
No, I didn't
Oh.
unmute my mic. I just didn't transition.
So they have heard nothing you've said.
It's like YouTube.
Oh,
Sorry,
boy.
my peoples. So, yes, on YouTube World, it's on the 23rd at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. Talking Pagan with Gwion Raven is they're going. So it's I can't even talk. Kitchen Witchery, I can't look, with Gwion Raven, who is the author of The Magic of Food, Rituals, Offerings, and Why We Eat Together.
That sounds like a great topic.
Yeah, it is. So, I will make sure the link is in
The show notes?
because, yes, they're already there. So, yeah. Hey, Don's on the camera now.
Oh, hi.
So, yeah. But, yeah, on that note real quick, try, if you are having a hard time finding a connection with pagans and witches in your local community, don't be afraid to go on YouTube, on social media, try to find them, Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, MeWe, sorry. Wow. I should have had more coffee. Yeah, try to find what's out there. You can also, send me an email, and I will see what I can do to hook you up with someone, because I am connected, kind of around the world now with people who are pagans. So
Kind of crazy, isn't it?
it is. It is. Yeah, the amino communities. There are some really good amino communities for pagans and witches, but there's some weird people there too, just like anywhere else. They don't have the corner on that one. So, but so yeah, pay attention to what you're eating, guys, because the food you're putting into you, yep, is going to impact your health, and your health is going to impact your ability to do the stuff. Whether it's keeping up with your kiddos or your grandkiddos, or doing your nature hikes to get in touch with nature, or
Your spirituality.
Yeah, your spirituality in general. Yeah, your spirituality in general. I mean, yes. Clarity, yes, you can join Amino on your computer.
Yes.
It's just not as easy. It is set up more to be an app rather than on the computer, but it is possible. Bummer, you haven't had coffee since January.
Oh, gosh.
Wow. I'll drink your share. It's okay.
I think we already have them.
Also, speaking of, Chris Jarvis just mentioned something about syrup. I don't know what all that is, but, pay attention to the sweeteners you're putting into your food. Not just sugar, because sugar can come from beets, it can come from sugar cane, it can come from all over the place. Be aware where your sugar's coming from. They're not all created equal. And then some of the other sweeteners, stevia is often from a plant, but it can be highly processed, which takes away the benefits of having stevia. If you can just make your own stevia tea to add to your beverages or cooking, that would be better. But if it comes in a pink packet or a blue packet or a green stevia.
There's yellow too.
Oh, yellow. Yeah. Be aware. Yeah, because decaf sugar isn't good for you either. So, just pay attention to what you're eating, because a lot of those artificial sweeteners they're finding are actually worse for you than the actual sweeteners, and that goes for people with diabetes as well, because there's studies showing that those artificial sweeteners are actually causing more gut issues and stuff with your body with the artificial sweeteners. If you do have to have something in your coffee, try honey, maple syrup. I actually like honey in my coffee. Agave. Even agave, you got to make sure it's sourced correctly.
True.
And so yeah, just be aware. Figs are really good sweeteners. suppose apple juice, you could use apple juice. That might be weird in your coffee. So, yeah, just...
Well, my grandmother used to put salt in her coffee.
people used to put eggshells in their coffee.
Well, yeah, but that makes sense. But she put salt in the coffee because she made it so damn strong it was just bitter.
Bleh.
It was bitter.
Bleh. Bleh, bleh. That just sounds horrible.
So, continue.
Yeah, I'm just... Salt in the coffee, my brain's twitching right now. Because that's wrong. Yeah, pay attention to, and also, when you're looking at your diet, and I'm kind of all over the page today, but when you're looking at your diet and they say cut out salt, be aware some people need to have a certain, not cut out salt, and you can't put all of the salt out of your diet because your body actually needs some salt, so make sure you're using the good stuff. Don't the over-processed. Try to get something a little more natural.
Why does salt have an expiration date on it when it hits the store? It's been around for hundreds of thousands and millions of years.
Because the FDA requires it.
That's true.
It's politics. That's why. It's so that the federal government can request a licensing and permission and permits and charge the producers and packagers of the item to charge more money. So, yeah. So, instead of salt, or if instead of increasing your salt intake, try increasing the flavor. As a kitchen witch, I have a lot of different spices and seasonings in my cupboard. What are you giggling about?
Like he says, you'd have an expiration date too if you were stuck on a shelf in a store.
Yeah. I would probably lose my gourd at some point. Yeah, so I've got all sorts of seasonings and stuff in my cupboard that I might use, as a witch at any given time for witch bottles or rituals or anything like that. But also I love to cook, so I've got all that stuff too. But having a good supply of seasonings gives me the ability to cook a wide variety of types of food. For instance, I have rice vinegar, I have white vinegar, and I have apple cider vinegar, and I have balsamic vinegar. I think that might have expired because it tasted horrible. I have some raspberry vinegar that I actually made. So it's the different vinegars for different dishes because you need different flavor profiles. And with the different profiles, you get different things. And a lot of those seasonings and herbs are really good for you. Turmeric, for instance, very fabulous for you. Ginger, also fabulous for you. You should eat more of both. And if you can't, I get it. Some people can't have cilantro, for instance, because it's bad for them. They have allergic reactions, and it tastes like soap, which it does. So, yeah, just be aware. That you can bring those flavorings into your food as you're cooking it, but also have those things available as a kitchen witch as well. And a lot of them are good for your health. So I saw a question. Brett, what are your thoughts on technomancy? Or do you use technology in your practice? Brett, you're a new name. Hi, Brent. Welcome to the club.
Brett.
Brett.
B-R-E-T, not E-N-T.
I said Brett.
The first time. Second time you said Brett. But anyhow.
Brett. Okay, anyway, so yes, I think technomancy is real. My older kids, or at least one of them, thinks I'm a techno mage because it seems like the beat-up car that I used to drive wouldn't die, and it really should have. I only put 200,000 miles on it. And I can't think, what all did we do that? We didn't do very much work. I mean, barely changed the oil because...
Are you talking about the Subaru?
No, the Escape.
Oh, I don't know.
Seriously, 200,000 miles and we didn't spend very much on repairs. We definitely got our money out of it. But every time I thought it was just about done, it'd heal itself. So, no, not the Equinox. It was an Escape. Ford Escape. The Equinox needs to heal a little bit. Get decaf sugar. So, yeah, I do believe in technomancy. So many of us have phones anymore. um, yes, you can put your intentions out there. I mean, stop and think about it. The keyboard warriors, for instance, because they're easy to pick on because they do insane things at any given time. They'll comment on a post and they'll type something out, intending to hurt someone. It is the intention. They're putting the intention out there to hurt someone else. Or you can do the same thing. You can put the intention out there to help someone else or to benefit someone else, to connect with someone else. And that is really real. I mean, yeah, you can manifest your intention pretty much in any way, shape, or form. You send a text, send a picture. I know, Lucky. I think it's real. For a lot of people, like we're solo practitioners and it's hard to get together in a circle or a coven just because there's a lot of miles in between each of us, it seems like. And so there's been a lot more Zoom or Google Classroom or YouTube get-togethers like this where we have a ritual or something for a group of people that, may be spaced out around the world. What's the dirty thing?
I don't know, but you said spaced out around the world.
Yeah, spaced out around the
just
world.
kind of spaced out.
Spaced out. I didn't say on the world. Around the world. It's not flat, it's round. So yes.
It's not a hemiplane.
Yes. So, yeah, I think technomancy is real. And just like any other tool, like whether it's singing bowl, a wand, 'cause yeah, I got that too here. Selenite wand. Love my wand. Using your, setting your intention before you use it, is a really big deal. Because if you misuse the technology, you can hurt yourself. You can hurt others. I mean, with the technology, think about it. People could steal your identity really easy with technology if you're not paying attention and protecting yourself. Very similar. Let's see. So yes, Clarity, the Zoom meeting is for a meeting on Monday. It's Talking Pagan with the group in Spokane, Washington, and they're talking with Gwion Raven. She's the author of Magic of Food, Rituals, Offerings, and Why We Eat Together. So she's a kitchen witch, so yes. Yes, thank you, Lucky. If you can join, awesome. If you can't, okay. But yeah, just go to Spagans. Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Spokane Pagans.
Sunday.
.com. That's on the 23rd.
Woods Wizard says Sunday.
Sunday?
Yeah, Woods Wizards would know, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would know. He's putting it on. Okay, so Sunday, not Monday. It's on the 23rd. Follow the number, not the day. 23rd. But yeah, go to the website, check it out for local stuff.
Oh, that's tomorrow.
Yeah, that is tomorrow.
Oh my. Wow.
Yeah, Spagans. I can't tell you. I've got some more water here.
So what brought up the topic of food?
Actually, I started with politics, and I moved into food because apparently I comfort eat when I talk about food.
Oh, I comfort ate that pizza, that's for sure.
Well, I was kind of distracted by the pizza, yeah, because it's fabulous pizza. No, I started with politics because we had a customer in the store yesterday, and we were just talking about stuff in general, and I'm pretty conservative, and she's like, wait, you're conservative and you're a witch? Like, well, yeah, I am. She's like, but I didn't know. What? Because there's a huge assumption that witches are generally pretty liberal, pretty democratic here in the U.S. Partly because of the feminazi, the feminists being associated. I'm not very PC tonight. Sorry, guys. Wicca is often very female oriented. in general. The Dianic groups are often very, very woman-oriented and female deity oriented. And there's a certain assumption that a lot of the types that are more pagan or witchy are women, and so it's often a very strong woman's movement, and there's occasionally a very strong influence of democratic thoughts at the same time. So I'm not very democratic.
Okay. Anyhow, sorry.
Anyways, nope, you're fine. So yeah, mostly food. And I moved off of politics and into food really quick because I like food.
Mm-hmm.
And you ate pizza.
Yes, I did.
So, in the first part before you got here, I had said something about, politics being often very closely associated with secret societies and stuff, and that you know more about that than I do.
What has that got to do with me?
You just know more about
those things, but what's that got to do with anything?
because like with geez, old Pete. I can see the symbol in my brain. It's got a compass.
You're talking about the Masons?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Isn't there some thoughts that they practice witchcraft?
Okay, so let's separate witchcraft and the occult.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
Separate it.
All right, so I'm going to look it up and give you what is occult. I can't spell. Not only cannot type today, I cannot talk, and I cannot spell. So dictionary.com says occult is of or relating to magic, astrology, or any system claiming use or knowledge of secret or supernatural powers or agencies.
Mm-hmm. Supernatural. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I find that to be slightly off because and it's funny. I had a conversation one time with somebody, and they were talking about how Lilith is a pagan god and this, that, and the other thing. And then I pointed out the fact that Lilith is actually a Jewish demon. That's Abrahamic.
Mm-hmm.
So people get the idea that occult means witchcraft. No, not necessarily, and not in the most general term that gets used. It's incorrectly used. Yeah, and Lucky says actually Masons hate witches and they love to hate witches, and they have love affairs with witches. Yeah, they are kind of weird, but yes, Lewis, that's good. An esoteric Christian sector, that's very very true on that, because in the way I view things, in order for you to be, well, first of all, let's just say if you're satanic, you believe in God. You have to, because you can't believe in God. You can't believe in Satan if you don't believe in God, because they go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. One is the antithesis of the other, right? Mm-hmm. So,
yep. Two sides, same coin.
And so a lot of people tag on the word satanic occult or satanic occultists, mm-hmm. and things like that. So that word is improperly used everywhere. So because it is, you have to separate the two. So Masonics are based in the Abrahamic faith. Mm-hmm. So I don't believe occult should be applied to that, or I don't believe witchcraft should be applied to them.
Just occult.
Just occult.
Okay. Yeah, in reading, occult is also secret, disclosed, or communicated only to the initiated.
Yes. Yeah. Well. Yes. Okay. Yeah. If you're gonna start, distilling it, yes. Yeah. Paganism could be considered occult in that sense. Occult, C-U-L-T, is just a group of people who have similar beliefs. Mm-hmm. So an occult would be a group of people who have similar beliefs, but they are the antithesis of the cult. Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense?
Yes. Yeah, a cult, according to dictionary.com, says a particular system of religious worship, especially with reference to its rites and ceremonies, an instance of great veneration of a person, ideal, or thing, an object of devotion, or a group or sect bound together by veneration of the same thing, person, ideal, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Christianity's a cult.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
A cult.
A
A
a
cult.
cult.
A cult.
Yep.
Yes. But so is pagan. So is paganism.
Mm-hmm.
So is the gaggle of Karens. Whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
The portal's a cult. This is a cult.
Mm-hmm.
A cult. A cult.
Atheists.
Atheists. Yeah, they're cultish.
Yes.
You know. So
So
anyhow.
yeah. Um, let's see. So yeah, it's just really need to understand the different words that are being used. Just like warlock generally is not. I don't see it as a positive word. I see it
Mhm.
as linked to the word betrayer. So just what are you using? So yeah, so Masons were one type of the Illuminati's another one. Do they do a cult or what do they do?
They're
Or more
the
politics?
they're politics, but they're very well. It depends. I mean, are you talking about Bilderberg? Are you talking about Bohemian Grove? That kind of thing. So there's just um, a lot of different ways you can go with that. There's too many to go. Um, so those are my thoughts.
Okay. I was really hoping you'd go into those more.
Why?
Why not? You know more about them than I do.
I don't know what you want me to go into about.
And how they influence politics.
Oh, okay. Well, then in that case, you got to hit Skull and Bones too. I believe it was Yale. They're from Yale.
Hmm.
Um, do you really want to talk about this on your show?
Let's see. Well, it was just in talking. It's like a lot of the
Politics as it revolves around what?
just the. I started off with people assuming that a lot of pagans and witches are
Oh, well,
generally
yeah, okay. You can say,
democratic,
yeah.
and
A lot of people assume that witches are occult. Um, uh, it could be true, because we talk about Christian witches a lot.
hmm
And of course, you can certainly lump, satanic, cults into that. Um, so, they can affect politics, absolutely, because supposedly, a lot of these um, uh, secret societies are the rich and powerful that control such things as like Hollywood,
hmm
DC, anywhere around the world. There's but you're diving such into a huge thing of conspiracy, quote unquote conspiracy, and theories and things like that. It's just mind boggling.
hmm Oh, very much so.
I mean, as a matter of fact, there's a faction of people that say that there's actually two different sides of the Illuminati. One side is kind of the good guys, and the white hats and the black hats. Um,
Okay.
so I mean, there's just too many to go through.
So this is a rabbit hole.
Yes.
All right. Well, hey, guess what? Top of the hour already, so you can stop anyways.
Oh,
So
thank God.
it's time for ice cream. So
Oh, good idea.
I have those. So yes, top of the hour, going to break. We'll be right back, and remember the call lines are open, so you can give me a call, and we'll talk to you soon.
I, O Lord, within the sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done.
Hello, my lovelies. I hope you guys are having a fabulous evening. Sorry, no math. My brain isn't in it. I'm sorry. Alright, so, no bumper music. So, we're going to do the singing bowl. And if you guys had if I had a better microphone outside, you'd hear the coyotes singing. I love my bowl.
Anyhow, welcome back, Paisley, to your show, The Spaces Between. How the heck are you?
Dude, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to do a midnight swim tonight, but I'm tired. I really am.
Okay.
Because it would mean, putting shoes on again and then driving.
Driving for like 5 miles.
I know. It's a little longer than that because it's over the river and through the woods. But, and the spot is really fantabulous. So maybe when it gets a little closer to the full moon, I don't know, maybe we can do a circle out there in the full moon in the water.
That doesn't sound like fun.
It does to me.
It'd be like sky-clad ritual.
Yeah.
Maybe I will go.
I mean, why not? I mean, sure, why not? I'm actually surprised our lake doesn't have a nude beach. Does it have a nude beach?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, it's a big lake. Even Lake Coeur d'Alene has a nude beach.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They have the whole. They have a nudist retreat and getaway.
Oh.
So it's a sky-clad hotel, basically. Yeah. 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 Nude beach.
Lucky says, make it a nude beach.
Well, if the sun's down and the moon's up in more than one way, why not?
Oh. Wow.
No. Oh, yeah, no walking. It's a long ways to walk. I don't know. What's new with you? I've worked too many hours over the weekend. I have no idea what you're doing over the weekend.
Today's only Saturday.
Yeah, I know.
Sunday. I'm not doing anything.
Marie says, note, way too shy. All you gotta do is bring the tequila and a lot of shyness goes away. I mean, so. Or sake. Sake.
So
yeah.
Oh, we have lots of room also, farm. We live on 20 acres and our house is right in the center of it. Trees everywhere. It's awesome.
2 ponds and technically there is a river. What is it, a quarter mile, eighth of a mile?
Oh, it's not even an eighth of a mile. It's like 2 blocks.
A stone's throw.
Yeah. I could probably pitch a baseball most of the way there.
Yeah, so yeah, and I don't know, yeah. Gravity goes away with tequila too. No, gravity comes faster. So I don't know. What else is new in the world? It was just it's been sitting in my head kind of on rinse and repeat, the whole, assumption that pagans are just liberal.
Well, so my view of it is this. Just because pagans believe in equality naturally, just we're all the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Things like this. I think the conservative part comes more from the political part, as you've brought up. I think there's too much money spent in too many stupid things, and um, and so more of a physical conservative kind of thing. I, and a lot of people can't separate Christian conservatives from conservatives. So there's also that. All conservatives are not Christian. Um, so why can't there be pagan conservatives and pagan liberals and progressives, and there should not be. I think pagans should stand in the middle. Personally, myself, because we do believe that all people are equal.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter the color of your skin. It never has. But you should be aware of what you're doing. There's a lot of we need to leave the forests alone, and we need to. We talked about this a little bit with Woods Wizard when he was on about forest husbandry.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. We still need to take care of the forest. We need to be in there and actively helping taking care of it, especially with our forestry sciences that we've come to understand, and how we can help it become more lush, more vibrant through husbandry. We do it. We have people who live and they have cat reserves in California. We have people who save dogs. That just because you're pro. I can't talk about that because that would get way off subject. Being pagan is being pro-life. It
All
really
life.
is. All life.
From spiders.
But people will point out that conservatives are the pro-lifers, and they have no respect for women's rights or this, that, and the other thing. Well, that's not true. That's just not true. I think pagans should be standing in the middle, staunchly in the middle, saying, yes, you're right there, and yes, you're right there. How the hell are we going to get it done?
The bridge. Okay.
So,
We're stuck in that space between.
see what you did there.
Yeah. Carlton goes, First Nations people who were here before the Europeans knew how to manage forests, and they had built 8 feet of topsoil doing it before the Dust Bowl. Yeah, that Dust Bowl was kind of a big deal.
Well, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. There was no, back in the late 20s, 30s, and 40s, when they created the Dust Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
people were just moving in there, cutting down the trees, just flatlanding the whole damn thing, building up houses, and then they ended up going, oh, well, our crops are dying. Well, you have no soil integrity. You have nothing keeping the soil from eroding. You need wind blocks. You need proper irrigation. You need the root systems that nurture the foundation of the farm.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't know that at the time. But now that we know these things, well, it looks like most of the time the only thing we can grow in the Midwest is corn, but that's all for ethanol.
There's a lot of ditchweed.
That's because the kids driving down the street with the cop behind them, ditching the weed.
Yes, it really is ditchweed. It smells horrible. Blah. So, yeah, I think husbandry of the place where we live and reside is a big deal. And I think the whole not in my backyard mentality is hurting everybody. Because, for instance, here locally they had a movement to put in a new processing plant for.
You're talking about the smelter.
Yeah, the smelter. What were they going to put there? Hey, it was a silicate of some sort.
I don't remember.
For screens for smartphones, basically. That they're gonna, because there's several mines in the area that they could have, mined a bunch of that stuff and smelted it down and used it for making screens for smartphones and tablets and computers, etc. And it. Everybody here was up in arms because, well, we don't want it here. We don't want the smoke to drift this way.
And they stink.
And they stink. And basically, they wanted it somewhere else because they didn't want it in our backyard because the wilderness is too pristine. And then those one group of people were just like, no, we don't want to violate the forest. We don't want to violate the lake, et cetera, et cetera. And then they didn't even take into account that where the smelter was going to be was technically on a reservation, but the only way to get to it in the reservation in Washington was go on a road in Idaho, and it was just so complicated and a mess. And so the First Nation, the tribe there, became involved, and they were like, but no, we've had enough problems with everything else. You're not doing this too, which I totally understand. And so, it just, it's frustrating because people assume it's okay in your backyard, but I don't want it in my backyard.
Right.
But I still want all the things. It's like the people are so environmentally conscious, environmental about this and that and everything else, but they fly around one person on their private jet.
Jets.
Yeah, rather than, flying coach. So it's being aware of what you're doing and what you're contributing and what your own carbon footprint is. Because if you're not controlling your own carbon footprint, how can you really, try to judge others for what they're doing? So, and even then, you really shouldn't be judging people, even though we do it all the time.
What we should be doing is we should be having that conversation about the pros and cons and seeing where it goes. But nobody, it's really difficult to have a conversation with a lot of types of people. But anyhow.
Yeah, well, no, that's true. Partly because when so many of us come to the table to sit down and have a discussion about something, if you have a difference of opinion, it's automatically assumed that, oh, your opinion is different than mine, you must be attacking me. And that's not really the way of it. It's just we have two different opinions. That's okay. We don't have to have the same opinion. We're two different people. We have different beliefs. We have different ideas. And
see, if we all had the same ideas, the world would be boring.
Oh yeah, it would.
The part of what people don't understand is if the world was total law, we'd all be sitting around doing nothing because there'd be nothing to do. You have to have that upheaval, that chaos to move things around. People. That's part of what bothers me about this whole heaven idea. Is like, if everything is just love and light and peace and law in heaven, how boring is that going to be? At least, Odin's Hall sounds like a roaring good time. Hey, yeah, you might die in Odin's Hall one day just to get up the next day and have another beer,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, would I like to learn how to play the harp? Sure. Is that my goal in life? No. I have no problems doing the whole, sky-clad moon dancing bit, and just not much of that, I think, happens when you're trying to play a harp on the other side of the pearly gates. But then, the Christian heaven is not my idea of a good time. It's not my afterlife.
No.
And that's something else that, we have seems we have a hard time understanding or getting, is that, with the different beliefs, we all have slightly different opinions on what the afterlife is.
Mm-hmm.
It's, for instance, you know, I'm I think it's pretty parallel to what we have here. I don't. It's just a different dimension of what we have, and I don't think we're there very often before we're reborn, unless we're done. But
Right.
in some others, maybe it's the Elysium Fields. There's the halls of Valhalla. It could be hell, Hel, which is something entirely different than the Christian hell.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, um, you really got to stop and think about, what those spiritual beliefs are, and what that afterlife is. So if we're all sitting down talking about it, it's not like Valhalla is wrong, and I'm not, because I don't think it is. I just think it's just another choice or another possibility.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's because I have that fluidity in my thinking, or that acceptance in my thinking, that sets me apart from so many other political conservatives today.
Right.
Because often they are the Christian conservatives, and they're very absolute in their dogma.
Right.
My dogma is more relaxed. He's snoring right now. So, yeah. And I think really need that ability to let go of the dogma, regardless of what it is. It could be political dogma, religious dogma, or spiritual dogma. We just need to let it go. Channel your inner Elsa, let it go.
Those are limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Those are limitations, and there's a lot of dogma in all kinds of traditions and beliefs. Even in the different traditions of paganism, there's dogmas. But the idea is to let those go and fulfill our karma.
Mm-hmm.
And karma is just it's basically another way to say what I'm here to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not anything else. That's all it is. It's what am I here to do? Did I talk about this yesterday about soul contracts and things like that? We talked about Judge, and we talked about
Sindel.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, Sindel, if you see this. They when they were on the show, they said that you come from the great energy, the eternal energy, and you before you come and manifest a body, you write a soul contract. That soul contract outlines what you're going to be learning, or what you wish to accomplish, or how you're going to be with these people and things like that. And there's no dogma in that. There isn't. It's just a contract to accomplish something. If you don't accomplish it, well, you're going to have to learn that lesson again, or you're going to have to do that teaching again. So that's all that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the whatever that soul contract is, the things we have to accomplish, I think personally, we might not do all of the same things in each and every incarnation. It may change in part due to whatever situation you're in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, and whatever may interfere with your manifest life.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could be, your life could be cut short because of somebody else's karma.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, because there's all sorts of stuff out there. Yep. Yeah. And we're all on slightly different journeys, and we need to remember that, and part of the reason why I really feel life is an adventure, by golly. And we all have slightly different journeys. I mean, Lord of the Rings is an excellent example. All the good guys ended up where they needed to be at the end of the movie series. But they didn't all take the same path to get there. So we're not always going to take the same path to get where we need to go. But we'll get there eventually. Just some are going to have a shorter trip than others. So, now I had an article I wanted to go over just a little bit, but
you got like 8 minutes before break.
I know. So this is from Pathos.com. Homework from the spiritual world. Exactly, clarity. That's what your karma is. So this is a Pathos.com is an article by John Beckett. 9 ways to improve your paganism in 2020. I love the lists. They're kind of fun. And this was written, I think, at the beginning of the year. But, as we're here... Oh, hold on. There's a call.
Call?
There's a call. So I'm going to stop a minute. I'm not going to go on. I'm going to wait for the train to go by. One. I swear, some of those train drivers are a little horn happy.
Oh, that was a nice way to say it.
Yeah, a little horn happy. All right. So, hello, caller from area code 619. You're on the air.
Hi, this is Regular Girl.
Hey,
That
Regula.
was seriously a train.
Yeah, seriously, a train.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So I wanted to add to what you guys are talking about with this, with the karma thing and the soul contract, is that also it can be looked at like not even as a contractual thing, but an emotional tie, like that you're connected. And this is where it got interesting for me when we all started talking about Mandela effect, and time travel. See, I started to immediately connect it to reincarnation and the experiences that I had had with it, which is like, it got to be like just so what's a part of life that, I didn't even kind of remember the story of when it was that I first believed in it. But back to this thing, which that it's an emotional tie. We're tied because of the love or the hate connection to the person. We're individualized consciousness. We're individuals. So it's a soul connection that we have to certain emotional events of deaths, big events. But it's contractual, and we've come in these times to talk about it that way, that before, and you can think about it that way, but also, and this is where it transcends time, travel, see? It gets to a point, if you've had a lot of incarnations with certain souls, in different, because you flip-flop, to try and get it. Sometimes you're the bad guy and sometimes you're the good guy. Sometimes you're the victim, sometimes you're the, the perpetrator, so to speak, and lots of different, and the same group of souls seem to gather together. And so you have to wait in time till everybody can get together again in this microcosmic, macrocosmic kind of way.
Right.
See? So that takes time too, almost like a scientific experiment, That's what takes long for the physical parts of the scientific experiments. You have to wait till twins, identical twins, to get together. Maybe I'm, starting to get up tangential here, but anyway, that's why I called in.
Excellent, yeah.
No, thank you. I appreciate it because it's the Mandela effect. I think that's interesting. I need to call into Don and Brent's show one of these nights because I have a Mandela effect story that I need to share there. But I think it shows those are things that could be or things that were that got shifted.
Right.
And just like deja vu, to me, are quite similar to Mandela effect,
Yes.
just because it's the view of what could be or what might be.
And she brought up soul groups too. Yeah, soul contracts can very well be connected to soul groups as well. And I mentioned this. I've mentioned this a couple times too. And I just said it earlier too. Is that sometimes you get separated from that soul group, and you have to relearn. You have to join a new soul group, and so you have to learn these people again. You have to learn. You have to figure out where you fit in that hierarchy or that group, not a hierarchy, but a group. So yeah, it does have a lot to do with soul groups as well. And that disrupts other people's soul contracts and things like that. Like I said, you may not fulfill your soul contract because you were killed in some way, and not, because of somebody else's karma
Mm-hmm.
or somebody else's, teachings, learnings, whatever. So yeah, and I think Mandela effects could very well be part of this, because you may be having memories from a past life and an old way that things were done.
Mm-hmm.
It could just be that you came from a region that looked at it differently, and so therefore you remember it differently as well. So they may be just tricks of the mind. They may be these learned things that we've had for, following us for the ages through our soul contracts, our reincarnations, or things like that, whatever that may be. So yeah, but I do believe that deja vu is part of a Mandela effect, or may lead to some Mandela effects, because that's the way you remember it.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. It's
Yep.
almost break time. Yeah.
Yep. And so, yeah, thank you, Regla, for calling in.
Yeah, this is a really interesting topic to me. The other thing is, and the
Yep.
fact that we can talk about these things,
Yeah.
more of us together. Because another thing is, I'm an artist and a musician, so
Hey,
one of the
Regla,
things has
we're
seemed
going
to
to
be
break.
like, yeah,
We'll pick it up when we come back from break. So don't forget, you have 3 minutes to remember.
Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and of Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And we are still on the phone with Regular Girl. So hello, hello. Are you still there?
I am still here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for holding. You had just mentioned that you are an artist.
Yeah, like I use a term to like sort of as an umbrella term. So music and music's what I want to talk about. So that I had noticed in professional musicians, in meeting a lot of them, that they seemed to like, and I started to think about this in terms of reincarnation because I had been told that my first reading, a past life reading, which had been in the late 70s, that I had had so many lifetimes that almost everybody was going to look familiar to me, right? But in musicians, so in reincarnational theory, it's that if you're born with a certain talent, it's simply that you've been practicing that through lots of lifetimes, right? So in thinking about that, that would mean that you'd have to be showing up in lots of the same life, in lots of different lifetimes, but in the same place, in a musical setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So scientifically, right, you'd be meeting more of the same souls, right? Sort of, the odds would be. And I did sort of, even before we started talking about Mandela and that kind of thing, I would kind of notice that even though you didn't have time to talk about that kind of thing, because when you were meeting up as a musician with other musicians, of that kind of talented, you come into this lifetime with that, and that's how you end up in auditioning, you get in, and you're in that place of professional musicianship, that those people are very psychic, and they've had those kind of aha experiences, but you just don't have time to talk about that stuff. And I kind of go, that's interesting. And I found the same thing to be true in the field of theater, like actors, which is that whereas I'd go through life and everybody looks so familiar, you kind of like, it's almost like you're able to, you do, like that comment that Don made before, you do start to, I have a little bit of memory about a little bit of everything, which has made life kind of more difficult and a little bit more easy in some ways, and I was told that at this very first past life regression that I ever had, so I just wanted to kind of add that piece to it. And in terms of the group soul thing, it's a group karmic thing. Like that's the story of Atlantis, I believe. That's why we had to wait so long for this thing to happen again. We are in it. It is happening again. This is it. But, well, according to the Casey prediction. That's where that theory comes from. I understand it, and I think a little bit of it is in some of the other ones too. And who the hell am I? Regular girl. Anyway.
Yeah, I think you're right. The group karmic bit, and there's things we need to work through, and not just as an individual, but also as a team or a community. And sometimes we have to go back through a time or two to get that lesson right, because not every group interacts the same way. Absolutely. So, um, but I'm gonna go
And
ahead.
I think we're supposed to, and I think nature's in that part of it. Like
Mhm.
that's what is so cool to hear Don talking about what he was talking about. I think that nature's a part of that
Mhm.
Oh
Mhm.
as
yes.
well.
Hmm.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It's us and nature and the you know.
Hmm. Oh yeah. And it's a real
And there are
inner.
people actually that make fun of like what I just said. There's actually people that would laugh at that in a mocking tone,
Mhm.
Oh yes.
a sadistic mocking tone. I know this. It's
Hmm.
like insane.
Oh yep. That's those keyboard warriors. They're out there. Um, for darn sure. So, all right. Well, Regla, thank you very, very, very much for calling in, dear. Um, I hope you have a lovely evening
Dope.
and stay safe down there in California. Stay away from all that smoke.
Okay. Thank you.
Hmm.
Good night.
All right. Good night.
Yeah. Yeah. Night.
So yeah, there is something to that. I believe we have to remember how to work together, and sometimes we have to relearn how to work together, because not all groups have the same ability to interact and efficiently and quickly to get things done. Um, so, yeah. Yeah, yes, 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 yes. So, this article, real quick, for the last 20 minutes.
Yes.
Yes. So, and some of this is stuff that, actually, all of it is stuff that I talk about regularly, but occasionally we just need that reinforcing. So, review your daily spiritual practice. Now, regardless of which deity you work with or don't, or if you are focusing on honoring your ancestors more, or if, whatever your path says, put some time aside every day to review your daily spiritual practice. What is it? Your affirmations, your prayer, your meditation, time in nature, sacred readings, tarot, studying, etc. Whatever it is you're doing, make sure you do it. Journal what you're doing and what you're getting out of it, and commit to doing it regularly. And make sure you're setting that time aside to do it. That's going to, give you that opportunity to be consistent in that behavior. Clean and cleanse your house. So not just cleansing with the sage, but also cleaning. Get rid of the dirt. Get rid of the clutter. I'm working on the clutter. I need to work harder on the clutter because it reproduces, sadly.
Titan asked the question.
Yeah.
Titan says, "Are there certain attributes that we receive from the moon? Are there attributes that we get from certain constellations?"
So, yes. Yes. And it varies a little bit with your tradition. So, in some traditions, the moon is a masculine deity, and other traditions is a feminine deity. So yes, depending on what your tradition is and what path you're following, yes, you're going to get some energies from the moon. I love the full moon, love the new moon. The energies are different in each. Setting your intentions in the new moon as the moon starts to wax is a good time to manifest something. And if you're trying to eliminate something, the waning moon is a good time to do that. Moon water is real, for blessings and such.
Tastes like water.
Yes. You can make spiritual water, which might have other things in it than just water, like crystals or salt or things. Don't leave it out around Don. He'll drink it.
Now, what about constellations?
So, we all have horoscopes that we follow.
I think I have a horrible scope. Thank you.
Yeah, you Capricorn, you. Or there's star signs that are associated with us, moon signs, that kind of thing. And some of them, the descriptions are really solid. That's exactly who we are, and others not so much. Part of it is the interpretation or the person doing the interpreting. And yeah, there is. I think we do get some energies from that. I'm very Libra, and it drives people insane because I see both sides of the situation. And and it can be frustrating because it's hard for me to make a decision sometimes because I see the pros and cons for both sides. But on the same note, though, once I make a decision, I stay pretty committed to it. I think there is some influence, Titan, and I think it's influence, but you have to accept those particular boundaries also, or definitions. I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, made sense to me.
All right. And yes, the clutter is getting out of control. So clean and cleanse your house. Do it. And make sure when you're cleansing your house, use vacuum or sweep. Haul that dirt all the way out. Don't leave it in your house because that negative energy that might be associated in the dirt, go ahead and get it out. We're moving into fall here in the northern hemispheres, spring in the southern hemisphere. And it's a good time to clean things. I mean, here, in theory, the dust season will end soon. In theory. And so, yeah, it's a good time to get rid of the dust. It's not the ashes of your ancestors, just dust. So get rid of it. Recharge your wards. So if you have wards around your home or the space where you spend the most time, it's, if you have wards to protect you, once you've cleaned and cleansed your space, it's a good time to reinforce those wards or recharge them. You can do that with prayers to the deities that you work with, or the spirits that you work with crystals, with salt, offerings, that kind of thing. They don't, once you set them, they don't generally stay charged forever. They need to be reworked periodically. So, and if you don't know when you did them last, it's time to do them again. If you do work with your gods, ancestors, spirituality allies, your spiritual guides, that kind of thing, if you're demonstrating hospitality or doing offerings for any of them, do it weekly or set a schedule so you're doing that regularly, and don't chintz out. If you're going to give a deity or a spirit guide a thing, don't just pick a rock out of the driveway and say, hey, here's a special rock. Make it a special rock that you're giving. So yeah, it just even clean water is fine though. As long as it's clean water. If that's all you have, that's almost always acceptable. But just make sure the intention is set before you do it, and do the best you can, but don't go cheap, if that makes any sense. Water is better than going cheap on something else. Depending on your tradition, there are specific days for different deities. So, for instance, Wednesday is generally a Kanunos day. So, yeah, find out, as you're setting your schedule and figuring it out, what is it? And stick to that schedule, because that regular scheduling will help ground you also, because the act of putting cleansing your altar area, putting out the new offering, that kind of thing, is very grounding and helps root you into your your system and recharges you at the same time.
There's always another way to look at it. Every day is a good day to die.
Yeah.
Why worry about it?
Okay, that escalated quickly, but don't put it off until tomorrow. I mean, if your schedule is to do it today, do it today. That's all. And when it comes to cleaning your house, that kind of thing, pick a plan of action and go for it. Start at one point and work your way through it. I tend to be a little ADD when I clean, and I bounce all over the house. And, by the time I'm done, I'm like, whew, I probably could have gotten that done 2 hours ago if I had just focused a little better, and not allowed myself to scatter. So yeah, focus it. And sometimes, that cleaning the house is very therapeutic and is almost like a meditation. And I don't know about y'all, but when my house is clean, I feel lighter. So, yes. Um, and the next one is read a new book in your tradition. So whatever it is, it's always good to add more information in your brain, regardless of who you are and what your path is. Continuing education is good. Add a new book. Llewellyn and Weezer are both really good publishers for pagan type books, and there are others out there. Just be aware. Make sure that the book, whether it's PDF, Kindle or paper, is actually a magic or pagan type, book rather than something for World of Warcraft or Magic the Gathering or something like that. Make sure the material you're reading really truly is in your tradition. Next one is read a book outside of your tradition. Don't be afraid to expand your understanding or learning into different traditions. And maybe not just, if you follow the Morrigan and you want to learn more about, say, Odin, so you get a book about Odin to different traditions, but you could also go into like psychology or archaeology or something else, that is outside of your comfort zone. Because when you push yourself, you allow yourself to grow, and you allow yourself to grow. That's good for you. Just straight up good for you. Attend a pagan gathering. If you can attend, like the one tomorrow with Mr. Wizard, that's a good thing on Zoom. Or if you have something local close to you that you can do in person, yeah, do that too. Whatever it is, because that act of communion and getting together and socializing with people that are similar beliefs, not necessarily the same, but similar beliefs, then do it. Yes, we get together here on YouTube or NTFR every Friday and Saturday. Yes, that's a good thing, but don't let that be the only thing that you're doing.
Yeah, because that makes you makes you
a wilder. Paisley Wild, you're following me, you're a wilder.
Oh. No, I meant like, a one-day Christian, the Sunday Christian. If you're not doing something besides this.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna tighten-ask another question. As when you hold stones, do you feel more transference when holding it in your left hand? If so, why? Lucky says depends on the stone and the need. She's ambidextrous, so the resonance is situational. Also ambidextrous. And some stones, yeah, I definitely feel the energy more in my left hand than my right hand. It kind of depends on the flow of energy, I guess, and what I need to be aware of. This would be one of those good things to write down, Which stone is it? Is it sodalite and you feel it more in your left hand than your right hand? Okay, cool. How about selenite? Or ammonite? Or prehnite? Or jade? Or any of those? So.
I just remembered I had a bag of prehnite right there.
Yeah. Yeah, prehnite. Little bitty bubbles of rocks. That's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there a heart in the bag?
I don't know.
Okay.
They put a heart in the bag. Maybe they think I'm cute.
Yeah. It's the beard.
It's the beard.
So, yeah, it just some stones, I guess I have a different resonance in one hand over the other.
Well, sensitivity, strong side, weaker side.
Mm-hmm. So yesterday somebody bought a bunch of quartz points, rough. They weren't tumbled, they were rough. And because she was going to use them to ward her home because her daughter's been dabbling a bit without protecting herself, so she wanted to add some extra protections to her home, which I totally get. And one of them that she picked up, felt nothing in my left hand, but put it in my right hand, and wow, it almost burnt the center of my palm. It was just wild. So yeah, it just it varies. And different stones have different reactions depending on what's going on. Let's see. So next on my list is work magic every full moon. I would edit this and not just say full moon, but also new moon, because the energy is slightly different. And depending on your path, you need the energy from the new moon more than you need from the full moon, and vice versa. Or maybe, full sun versus a cloudy day, because the energy is different. And the different energy will give different power to your rituals and your spell work and what it is you're doing and the strength of your intentions. So sign up for a class, or something. If there's a class or a workshop that's local to you, and when I say local, I mean local or available on some platform nowadays. Try do it. Let's see. When Courtney Weber was local, we went to a thing that she did with reading tarot cards.
Tarot cards, yeah.
Holy cow! Was that?
That was fun.
It was fun and insightful, and it gave me a different perspective on tarot cards. And yeah, it was just, I don't know, it was just really cool. So, and I hadn't really put that much energy into tarot before, and so it felt really good to do it. So yeah, if there's a class or a workshop that you can attend locally, yeah, do it. Not just because I said to, but because you should. It'll help yourself grow on your path. And journal. I say journal a lot, so journal. Why do you want to do this thing? What are you hoping to learn? And then afterwards, what did you learn? What is your takeaway from it? So yeah. I don't know. That's about it on this article. But I figured it was good because sometimes we do need that touch point, touchstone. That's why so many pagans and witches have some sort of rock in their pocket at any given time, or wearing a rock or something like that. So, whatever it is.
D, believe it or not, I'm left-eyed too. I really am.
What?
I have a dominant left eye.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's really, that's why it's really important for me to remember how to shoot a pistol.
Oh, you don't? I'm trying to think, I shoot right-handed normally. But I will bowl left-handed occasionally.
Great.
Yeah, so I don't know. You're weird. That's all. So yeah, takeaways. Politics is everywhere.
And it affects everything.
Yeah, it really does.
And it usually never ends up with a good thing.
Yeah, no, and just be aware, politics is everywhere. It's affecting everything. It divides families. It's been dividing families since families became a thing. Yeah, it's vexing and frustrating. But don't let it rule your world. Just accept that politics are there, and just let it slide off of you. Make the best choices you can when it comes to politics, and last I checked, there was no politician in the stars charts anywhere trying to rule your sign and force you to do things. So yeah, deep cleansing breath as you approach the politics. Here in the U.S., was it the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks, are going to be insane, and I'm really glad we don't have TV.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. Pay attention to what you're eating. Eat the good stuff. And yeah, I know trying to budget groceries that are good for you is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Just do the best you can. Just do the best you can. Accept one another for who you are. And we're all kind of on this grand adventure together, this journey. We're all going to end up in the same spot eventually, or similar places.
Yeah, we don't get out of it alive.
Right? We all die eventually. But the path we take between today and death going to totally vary. So um, check the show notes. I'll have information for the Pagan Talk about kitchen witchery tomorrow. And yeah, focus on your path. What is it you're doing? Make your journal a little bit. Ask yourself some questions. Challenge yourself to read a new book that's on your path, and not just fiction, although fiction's fun too.
Mm-hmm.
But put some good stuff in your brain and turn the TV off. So, I don't know. Any last thoughts there, Mr. Don?
No,
20
I'm
seconds?
I'm almost asleep. I'm like thought I was gonna get up like 5 minutes ago and go to bed because I'm almost asleep. So, no, I have no further thoughts other than
Right.
Bye.
Depending on where you're at, have a lovely evening. Have a lovely day. I hope you guys have just a fantabulous weekend. And we'll see you next Friday right here on Truth Frequency Radio or YouTube. And thanks for joining tonight. So merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. And I hope you guys have a very great day.
Good night.
Good night.
I, O Lord, within the sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done.